Well, okay, we'll go ahead and call to order the March 4th meeting of the Weld RE-5J Board of Education to order. If you'd all take a moment to silence your cell phones, rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag, United States. Okay, I think we're getting some feedback through our speaker here. Ms. Diagano, will you please call roll? Here. Yeah, this is going to be awkward.
Michael Weld.
Here.
Aiden Chambers. Andrea. And Gonzalez is.
Okay, thank you. No changes to the agenda this evening? So we do need a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice President Sassano, a second by Director Proctor to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ms. Diagano, do we have any citizen comments? Mr. Ball, you want to step up to our podium? You can.
Hello, I am Christy Duvall, a teacher at Pioneer Ridge Elementary. My name is on the consent agenda this evening, and I wanted to take a moment to address the board and the administration. I am deeply grateful for Weld RE-5J. This district, its incredible teachers, helped raise my brother, 3 daughters, numerous aunts, uncles, and cousins, and here include my nieces tonight. For 34 years, I have had the privilege of working. My grandmother served this district, my mom served this district, and now my daughter serves as well. During some of the most difficult times in my life, this district and its people supported me in ways that I have never. Weld RE-5J is not just growing. It has been a steady source of strength and is part of my. I am truly thankful for the opportunity. One more year, doing what my mentors have done, which is to always will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Okay, let's move on to some more celebrations. Superintendent Nielsen, sorry.
Members, I'd like to, I saw Allie walk in. Allie, can I steal you up front for a couple of minutes? Talk a little bit about what you had today.
Where do you want me?
One of those 2 chairs right there. Looks like hot seat.
With families who are currently homeschooling and interested in homeschooling within our district boundaries. And the idea would be to have families utilize our current online curriculum through CDLS so that we have a quality Colorado State standard aligned curriculum available. Okay. or homeschool families with their students and access enrichment opportunities. Specials. Music through the smart lab and PE. And we asked families to come to a listening session so we could explain about the activities and hear what questions they had. And we had 11 parents that signed in on our sheet and 18 students. Feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Very, very excited to have people to tour the spaces at MIS, what their students were. Of course, did not be. That was a big selling point for students, but they were also thrilled with music, with what we have to offer art. We love the idea that supplies would be provided for them. One dad was joking with all their supplies at home, so they have that for our project. There's also a lot of interest in EOS as a platform. So we all parents they can have one, either one, or both, and that would increase enrollment. Classes, parents will homeschool. That is actually part-time online students just for the opportunities their homeschool accessing the program if they choose to access both in their full-time. We got a lot of positive feedback, and really the biggest thing that parents left with was another listening session about more families who are interested, and this is probably going to grow a lot faster because
Any questions you have on today?
Like, well, not today. I have a gazillion questions about it, but I will run my questions through Superintendent Nielsen so we don't overwhelm you here. No, this is fantastic. I had often wondered with our partnership with CDLS if this wasn't that could be a reality, and thank you so much for picking this up and running with it and being that connection to the homeschool. Yeah, this could be really huge.
yeah, they were very excited and grateful. A lot of them are similar programs in Greeley, so they feel like a lot of people want to come back, of course, last time. And then they also feel like programs are pretty full in the surrounding districts, so we can have folks who are on other districts wait lists.
Awesome.
So in addition to having Allie talk about her meeting today, it was fortuitous, I think, that she did the meeting today and we had a meeting tonight because we also wanted to talk about Allie. And we couldn't tell Allie we were going to talk about her because that would have gone over super well. One of the things you heard parents say today, two different parents that we got to hear today, was talk about Allie's heart. And they got to spend 45 minutes with you today. The way you handled that group, handled their questions with grace, made them feel like they belong. Often that can get lost by districts in this homeschool versus the regular schools. But you welcome them all in today. But in the role you're in right now, Allie, your heart shows up every single day. The work you're doing to meet the needs of our community has been awesome to watch over 2 years. Even today, you're like, Scott, I got another idea I want to run by you. And today, I don't know what the idea is yet, but I know it's going to be a good one. And it's about taking care of staff. So just thinking about from the youngsters to our staff members, what are the things you can do to help make our community better is pretty awesome. The cottage is a great resource that was long overdue in our district. And you, with support, found resources to make it happen so that it's happening in this district and supporting both Johnstown and Milliken and surrounding communities. There's lots of things we could talk about, but what we really wanted to do tonight was say thank you. Say thank you for what you're doing and what you're trying to create. President Wales talked a little bit about CDLS, and what the board doesn't know yet is that CDLS is talking about us around the state as a model program.
We knew that.
You knew that. Our public didn't know that, right? That it's a model program, and that is largely you and Heather. That's who's creating that, or has created that. And it will likely have 100+ students that are enrolled at the high school with that program by fall. Again, meeting students' needs where their needs are, and allowing them in many cases to be hybrid, back and forth, some online. But as I heard you say today, almost a 90% success rate. That's phenomenal. And most of the most of the virtual schools around the state are nowhere near 90% success rate. So what you're doing, what the program Roosevelt is doing, how CDLS is helping us, is creating a viable option for students. Again, to meet the needs where the needs are, rather than only having one pathway to meet all needs, which we know is successful for 100% of us. So we just wanted a chance with the board to say thank you. Thanks for all the work you're doing to enhance what we already offer in these systems.
Full disclosure, I wanted cake for all of this, but yeah, you forgot. Next time. It was kind of it was our early morning joke when we were setting the agenda. I said, Allie's probably gonna want chocolate and vanilla cake. And so let's just have a chocolate.
A photo.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, I forgot all about that. I mean, we're hanging around the room.
Congratulations, Allie. We have two more. Is that correct?
We have a couple more. We'll start with our HOSA representatives, Coach Summers or Coach Gibbs or both. You want to come up and come on?
Here.
Yeah, you can start there, and then we'll bring you once you've told us all the success you had this year.
Great. Yeah, we just are so proud of our students. Been so fortunate to be in front of you guys here. With amazing participants in HOSA. We have 33 young ladies to state in this year, but young ladies to state, and they all just represented Roosevelt with professionalism and grace. Sometimes not the most organized event, and just the patience and professionalism that they showed was really so important to us. We're really, really proud of them. And we came home with a state champion and many other top 10 placers. So they're here to top 10 in our events. We'll just
Please.
okay. I'll start with Sonora, placed 10th in nursing assisting. Miley placed 9th in clinical specialty. Aiden, Emily, Kimura, Mariana, and Yesenia placed 8th in public health. Miley placed 12th in medical treatment. Katie placed 6th in biotechnology. Lisa placed 5th in surgical technologist and 9th in research writing. Savannah placed 5th in research persuasive writing and speaking. Abby and Yesenia placed 5th in health. Gordon placed 3rd in nursing assisting. Abby C placed 3rd in respiratory therapy. And Hannah placed 3rd in job seeking. Billy placed 2nd in sports medicine. And Michelle as a double state champ in both medical terminology, which had the most participants, over 400 people across the state. And she is our champ. And she also placed 1st in research, persuasive writing, and speaking. And her past summer. So she's part of the world, which is really cool. And just for anyone who doesn't know what HOSA is, it's health occupation students. And it's really these students want to be doctors and nurses and other trainers and physical therapists and respiratory therapists, so it's pretty promising.
My little brag is that we took 33 in the top 10. There were schools with over 130 kids there. So half of our those schools.
Just listening to that list, right,
Yeah.
the rider pride in that is amazing. How high we're performing, it's pretty awesome.
We also had alumni that volunteered to the legislature. Fine, and Patty DeGelder came. And they're doing great, and there were 5 that graduated last year. Community, they volunteered for our mock day here in January, and then they both showed up at the state hosted tournament in Robocha. Yeah.
Bring up our host of participants for a shake of hand and then a photo. Yes, sir. Give us banners.
Oh, sweet.
Introduce
Yeah,
themselves.
we haven't been through stuff.
Sure, we can, yeah.
You need multiple layers here.
Yeah, we'll have them go through right now.
Yeah, go through it. Come back.
I would just say, tell us who you want.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I'm Jen. Research perspective, right? Right, you can write it. You know, I made it out of senior and I placed in public health. Jordan, I'm sophomore and I got 30%. I got 8 on your display, or 8 on your display. I'm a junior and I took 10th in nursing at this day.
Okay.
And of course, I have.
Come on.
No, there's our photo.
Stand again. Let's move this way.
Yeah. Oh, so I need to stand behind them.
Oh, sure.
Next to you will be all cozy.
Hey, what's up?
I'm gonna touch it, man.
There you go.
We have to shrink our chairs down a little
It's
bit.
gonna look down. We're gonna move that. Gonna look down. Look down. Then we're gonna make ourselves look
Clean it up.
professional here. This. Okay.
Congratulations.
Again, I'm just looking at
Oh,
the
yeah.
water's down here.
I don't know why I got two.
You're thirsty.
I think she was blinded by the light.
Look at them, they're like, down, there's special paperwork. I don't have a hair sticking out.
Hey, I just did the white girl one, so I'll take the heat off.
You took what?
I did the white, the sorority girls one.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So I think I took the heat off.
Yeah, the.
All right, our next celebration is one that we have celebrated every year that I've been here, plus a couple. So it's older than I am in terms of with our district, and it's our Palms team. And Coach, you could join us up front, bring the team, and talk about 5-time state champs.
How proud I am of people. I don't think a lot of people realize how much work goes into our season and how it pretty much doesn't end. We're kind of a year-round sport, and so they set their goal in March of last year, and here we are standing 5 times again. Thank you guys.
Nice, as we're bringing her up, I also want to celebrate Coach Coleman, who was recently named Coach of the Year for Longs Peak. So congratulations.
Don't know me, and I want to talk just a little bit about the. People always see the banners, the trophies, and us just cheering our sports on the sidelines. But what they don't see is all the hard work we put into our sport. All season long, we're training to refine the details, so we're able to put out our best performances, and we did just that. We knew we had to put in the work because 5 titles in a row would not just be handed to us. Not only was earning that title physically hard, but it also was mentally. Getting a 5th state title carries a lot of pressure, but we always say that pressure is privilege. Not everyone gets to defend a state title, especially 5 in a row, so we just gotta trust in one another. On state day, when we walked into that Coliseum, we knew exactly what we do. We had every ounce of fight we had left. Being a senior, I have a lot of emotions that day, if you can imagine, but I would do anything to experience that again. Something about me when I compete is I always get what I call crazy eyes. I'm so locked in and I'm fighting for what I want, and so nothing else really seems to matter. But once the music was over, I looked up, I cried, I'm so happy to be a Rough Rider, and what I want to do is bring it together. The team is so hard work to get to accomplish so many things with achieving our last state title. Moving from 4A to 5A might sound like a big jump, but to us, it's just another challenge. If there's one thing we've proven, it's not that we rise to a division, but we rise to a standard. The same discipline, ability, and hunger that carried us to high school. Thank you for gathering us.
Come across today, will you let us know what grade, your name, your grade, and what you're thinking about when you leave Rough Rider Nation? Take first.
Here I try out for their dance.
I go to CSU and talk to it. On the ride, I'm a junior. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, there's not as many of them. I mean,
Yeah. We're gonna try to have you.
well, Coach is gonna hold. Tell them that. Right,
Rumas?
Yeah, our next celebration is an awesome one for us to celebrate. It was just, I think, 2 years ago in this room when our board approved a girls wrestling program, which is pretty exciting. A great addition for our district. And this year, in only our second year as a district or as a Roosevelt wrestling team, we had several young ladies who earned their place to go on and compete at state. So, Coach Sandoval, would you be willing to come up and talk a little bit about your team, your season, maybe even your first 2 seasons, how you've watched it grow, and then celebrate your athletes? Let's do it right at that.
First and foremost, if you don't know me, I'm Coach Sandoval. And again, just thank you to everybody who was a part of improving girls wrestling for Roosevelt High School. Without it, these young ladies wouldn't have the opportunity to eat. Some of them had to go over there. Some of them probably wouldn't come out go out to high school. I just want to really say thank you. I've never gotten the opportunity to say thank you. Our program in general, it's been a tough 2 years. Most of our girls came in, I'd say probably 90% of them know anything about wrestling. Those of you who do know wrestling, kiddos that we go up against in wrestling were 8 or 10 years old. Very hard, very tough to get into it. Last year we ended up getting, I think, 14 or 15 girls on the team, which was super awesome. Ended up having 4 girls qualify for the state tournament. That was kind of the biggest goal, was to kind of qualify there. Again, 2 years ago, our first year. We did get a couple of wins down there. Again, the biggest goal was just to get down there. Super exciting. So coming into year 2, a lot of those girls who had qualified, we said, hey, let's reset, try to set new goals, right? But we're gonna match for 2 place. A lot of them said, hey, let's get on that podium. So this year at regionals, well, let me backtrack. At Leaf, it got a little crazy at the footer, which I knew it was going to get. You know, you kind of do math with the coaches. Yeah, we should win this one by points or da da da. A surprise match, and I hate to say that, but a surprise match that we ended up getting up, which proved us more 2 points. Long story short, we didn't end up getting the ball, but if we would have won that match, we would have won the league. A little bit of a bummer, but it's awesome. Cooter has been around with their girls program, they have their whole district. So it's just great to even be in that position. Moving on to regionals, I think we ended up with 6 regional placers. That only top 4 we go on to state. We had Addison Hovey in sixth, meaning she has enrollment to fifth. Again, meaning she was one match away from qualifying. And then we ended up having Savannah Rollins, Precious Rivera, Wells, and Maylin Bernard all qualified for the future. Two of those four were qualifiers from last year, so two more jumped on the really won a lot more matches down there this year. Last year we only won 2 matches. This year we ended up winning 8, which is just incredible. One of our girls, Maylin Bernard, she won actually from placing at the state tournament. And then we actually, our very first racer for the rest of this year, again, really tough to compete with those girls who have wrestled all that time. And the last little thing I have, I know I'm taking up all the time, but a lot of time people come up to me and say, congrats, Coach Sandoval, you know, doing great with the program. I really want to emphasize, I would not be able to do any of this without the support from the parents, from the girls, especially from my coaching staff. Not all the time, girls wrestling kind of gets pushed aside, not here, but in the wrestling world. And matter of the fact is that we got 6 coaches, 3 or 4 of them come and volunteer. Those boys probably don't have coaches, so we're just very lucky, very fortunate to be able to have them. So thank you all. It's good.
Okay, my name is Addison Hovey. I play 6th and I'm sophomore. I'm pretty well when I'm junior. My name is sophomore. I qualified for state. I'm 21 as a senior and I placed 5th at regionals.
Join us for.
Thank you. Thanks. All right.
Let's go, James.
Bye. Tony?
Join us.
Second picture.
Celebrations for tonight.
Okay. Well, thank everybody for coming out to celebrate, and we'll have more as the year progresses, without a doubt. So, congratulations to all of you. Let's go ahead and move on to our reports from board members. Or we can force him to stay. You gotta stay. You gotta stay the whole meeting. You leave. Liam, you want to kick us off?
Busy February. To start the month off, we had a great state youth council quarterly meeting. I was able to share on my story high school spin, what goals I've been able to take on, a little bit of that we're able to do here, you're on the workforce board of the county, on the city council, on there. Moment to kind of share what I've been able to do, just to go around the state. We had a superintendent's advisory meeting at the high school, where we talked about some of the transitions and how those kind of been able to go for us. What to break into the semester, so they would go how counseling needs has been, class schedules have things out. We had a kind of meeting with the district. We were able to go over sort of budget priorities, long and short planning, why communication strategies and how well have improved, and kind of over what the profile of graduate looks like, and kind of what have and what they really like about it. We had our advisory group meeting. Went really well, like always. Love to hear those kids. They were able to share the kindness group, what they've been doing there. The LO group council members is a group there, so they were talking a lot about the kind of things that we really like to do, penny wars and food drives and stuff like that. We've been able to things that they can improve. So it was appreciating what they have to say about that. We had our National Society Hearts for Valentine's Day. So on every year, National Society puts up Valentine's hearts on every teacher's door. Message for them to read. So it was an early morning Valentine's Day, 6:30, around the school, put in the board. We had our simple game graduate in Hotel, Idaho, 2 weekends ago. It was great to see what the team can do already in February. Under the team, Mountain View Resurrection, college kids were as well, and Berthoud High School as well. So it was a big wall. We had our workforce for youth committee meeting last week. I was able to recruit 3 other Roosevelt students to come to the round table. We also had 2 District 6 we were going to go over job skill, how work culture is going, and what these employers really see is really working well, and what we think we can try to improve in their hiring. Finally, we had our future chef competition last week. I love food. I love the food that we can make here, and that's an EXO helps support that. And it's a great opportunity to judge the food and eat a lot of it. The elementary middle school students are really well. I've been able to talk with Terry and adding some of those. I'm really looking to how it wants.
So since our last official meeting, I have had a chance to attend 2 superintendent advisory councils, one at MES and one at MIS. The MES one was the first one we had with the K-2 group. I think it's the only K-2 group we have in the district, even PIE and how really one around their school. I thought they did great. Definitely was scared at first. They definitely like got more comfortable with us as we walked. And I'm really proud of them for that. And I'm really glad that we are making those safe spaces. Kids who are 5 to 7 years old, and they're feel comfortable like saying what they think. And I'm also going to and this one, a couple kids like run up and give me a hug. It was really important to me. Somebody is coming up to me and saying hi. So these kids, and I'm really happy about that. We had some great conversations. And that group is thriving. That school is thriving. Anytime I go to another kid's school, they're just amazing, and I am so proud of the admin team they've made. Really can such a place to eat, but like for other kids, and I have nothing but great about those 2. And then I also had my Rotary meeting a couple weeks ago for Rotary. I just want to thank the Rotary for the opportunity to talk about myself, but also talk about like everything I do. For the reasons, it's very important. People don't think I do what I do just for recognition. It gave me an outlet to say like I do this because I love serving people and I love connecting with people and I love inspiring people. And that was my point to that. Whether it was like I think I said in that meeting that I could do without any of the awards or recognitions, and I would just still want to keep that aspect of the people I've helped and the people I've connected with. So that was a really fun opportunity. I also had an interview with the Daniels Fund. I think it went well. We'll see. I think I was the only Roosevelt student there. But it was really cool to see all the different backgrounds of kids because I was going in there expecting like, oh, 4.0 GPA and like I do FBLA and TSA and like all these like really high academic clubs. But the kids in my group, at least, we had a dancer who was gonna go to this really small college in Kansas. We had we had like two kids who were gonna go to CSU, and like one of them was a multi-event track person, which was really cool to talk to him about. And it just there was a lot more diversity than I expected, and that was really heartwarming to me. That anyone could be successful in any capacity, and they're still deserving of a full ride scholarship. So that was a really cool experience. I've been to various basketball games. I'm staying at a few, which was a new experience. But it was great. I felt nothing but support in that aspect. And then I've also been to a lot of Windsor basketball games, admittedly, because of my cousins. But I like seeing all like the different school cultures. I think I went to the one at Loveland, and I will say Loveland was getting their butts kicked by like 30, and they still have a really great student section. And so I wish our student section could be that lively when we're down by 30. But I thought that was really cool, talking to a bunch of people there. I also saw the Rocky Mountain game, and that was cool to connect with a bunch of people. And I actually wore my Weld RE-5J vest there, and I had a ton of people come up to me and be like, oh my gosh. I had one person come up and say that they saw me at Casby. It was very cool. I think they were from Twitter. I don't remember who it was, but that was really nice. Just seeing all the people I think there from basketball or just knowing people. Northern Colorado is a very connected community. So that was a really cool experience. Like I'm talking for too long, so I'm gonna give it back to Scott.
That's Amanda.
Well, since we're at RHS, I wanted to shout out a few people from this school. Mr. Gary Rasmussen, he teaches literature, English, whatever you would like to call it. I really appreciate his effort. Every single Monday, I get an email from him, and it's a short 3-paragraph essay. It's what he did over the weekend, which is really interesting. It's what they're going to do during the week in whatever tests or quizzes. And I read them every week, and I feel like he and I are BFFs. I don't know if he understands that, but I feel really connected to him as a teacher. And so I really appreciate every single week him putting the time into doing that, because I don't know if I'm the only person who reads it, but I do appreciate it. And also, I get the pleasure of dropping my couple of kids off every morning at the school. And I don't know how I just noticed this, but I did just notice this. I followed in a black truck that had a very specific license plate that was like riders on it. And I was like a psycho stalker trying to figure out who it was. And it's Mr. Addington. So like that dude is all in, and I really appreciate him writing for the brand down to the personalized license plate. Like that was just incredible. Because I couldn't see who he was when he was getting out of his truck. He was like in his truck, and so I made my kid like go stop and follow him in to figure out who it was, because I just had to like who was doing this. That's amazing. So that's fantastic. Thank you to both those staff members. This past Saturday, FFA had their Made Here market, and I thought it would be like a couple of booths and some bread, because I feel like our community is very big into making bread and the cottage food, and it was massive. Like the Made Here market was incredible. There were so many tables. There was a lot of people. I had mentioned to Scott when I had seen him that I thought it was the timing of all timing to have a playoff girls basketball game starting about the time this thing was ending. So I think there was a lot of crossover between the two, and you couldn't have planned that better than what it was. But that was really cute to have the Made Here market, because there were people of all ages who made things from our community who were here. And I believe Holly Borison had the longest line for tinsel, hair tinsel, and henna ever, but she's fantastic. And it was just really great to see that. So I appreciate FFA doing that. And then girls basketball. And then I do have something coming up, since we're not meeting again until April. And Scott, I apologize. I wanted to ask you to let the admin team MIS know, but here you go. Will you let them know?
Yeah.
I'm going to go read tomorrow for the night's success lab, but I wanted to hang out and hear the announcements because you keep bragging about it. So I'm going to hang out. So if you'll let them know, they're not definitely like, oh my goodness, in the morning.
Imagine Tammy's already sent the text.
Thank you, Tammy. Yeah, because I thought about that as I sat down. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go read tomorrow, and I wanted to go like hear the announcements, but I should have let people know ahead of time so that they weren't surprised.
At MIS, you're
Yeah, MIS. Yeah.
That's yeah. You'll enjoy that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So it'll be fun.
Well, when you go to MIS, make sure you go to their morning meeting. They do an assembly in the morning for all the students, and Mr. Plaisance stands up and gives the announcements and talks about a couple of things, and it's inspiring to watch as an adult. Michael and I had a chance to go over there weeks ago with our former superintendent, Ms. Tressler. She wanted to see the building, and it was really cool.
Nice.
One of the student ambassadors, I guess, that helped to greet us when we walked in very professionally. I might have even had a bow tie on because they were on the way to the symphony that day. But he was one of the ones that are the first, I guess, winners of the challenge coin that the resource officers are not giving out, both Milliken and Johnstown. I saw that on Facebook. So I apologize, I don't know Liam's last name, but I wanted to call Liam out and give him some kudos there. Not this Liam. But what's going on at MIS is impressive at all of our schools, but especially at MIS. I made no bones about the fact that I was a little hesitant about opening MIS without doing some major renovations. They have made that building work. It is inspiring to go in there and watch, to see Mr. Plaisance and Mr. Cahoon and the staff there and the office staff and the energy they have when the kids are coming in. It was really cool. So kudos to them. Other stuff, I've watched a lot of basketball recently. Want to wish the girls well. They're playing right now. Last I heard, they were tied at 22 at halftime. So go Riders. We also had the chance to go watch the 7th grade girls basketball tournament in Kersey on Saturday, and the 7th grade team won their tournament. So we have some league champs at RMS. And I was there because Mom was my daughter. And I can't talk about one of my daughters without talking about the other daughter, who is the senior at Roosevelt and wrote an essay for the Daughters of the American Revolution, and competed at the local chapter over in Loveland, the Namaquah, they call it chapter. Okay, thanks for correcting. There were 6 local high schools that had representatives there, and actually won the contest there. So her essay will go to the state competition. I don't know when we'll hear about that, but if I do say so myself, it was an outstanding essay. So we should have her come and read it. It's short, but about patriotism and the 250th anniversary of the country. It was great. So she'll probably be upset if we want to get talking about that tonight, but it was exciting. And then just one more thing I want to call out, Ms. Duvall. 34 years in this district is a long and outstanding career. I know we have one more year of your light and energy and presence at PRE. but it will be missed after next year. So thank you for spending your entire career with this district. That's it for me.
I'm just gonna kind of dovetail on the back of Vice President Sassano. Yeah, there's a special energy right now at MIS. It was a really enjoyable tour. Speaking of MIS, I just want to clear the air.
You should.
I made a quote in the paper last week that was taken out of context. That we were discussing the fact that we had teachers that were traveling between Milliken Elementary School and Milliken Intermediate School, mostly with our specials. And I said, that's not a sustainable model for staffing. And the paper said that I said MIS is not a sustainable model. And so a lot of people got freaked out, thought we were closing the school down. I got to be careful with what I say, I guess, because they jumped out. We are not closing MIS down. The total opposite. We're excited and just the energy that's coming out of that building. We're trying to put it right back into it and see the magic happen over there. Lots of exciting things happening though on that campus. We did get a chance last week to go do the wall signing for the Milliken Public Library. So we gave a portion of that building to the public library so they can build a full-size, awesome public library in Milliken. And then of course we have, I think Allie left, but the Cottage Collective going on there as well. So it's really interesting. I shared a document with Mr. Sassano and Mr. Nielsen about some of the history of how the districts came together and the unification back in the 60s and what the historic site of the Milliken School was. And it's so cool to like see that all kind of coming back, where that is a centerpiece of the community. Lots of cool things are happening. It's going to be a place where a lot of people from the community can come, whether they have kids or not, with the library, some of the stuff we have going on in schools, but also with the Cottage Collective. So really excited about MIS. Not shutting it down. Can't say that. Can't underline that hard enough. Not closing that school. And I think we should have Ashley come read her essay.
She will hate that, but
I know a couple people we could probably make it happen.
Those are good essays. I read it too. So I second. She should come.
You should tell her she has to do it or she won't graduate.
Oh yeah, we can make it a
that's a big threat, Steve.
graduation requirement. Speaking of sports, of course, track season is well underway. You all know I coach at a different school, but I'm really excited because when I look at my calendar this year, I'm either in Greeley or Roosevelt every week. Greeley, Roosevelt, Greeley, Roosevelt, Greeley, Roosevelt. I'm trying, so I'm excited about that. Okay. Anything else? Let's go to our report from the superintendent's office.
Thanks, President Wales and board members. The last several weeks have been super busy. There's a few things I just want to highlight. There's the interesting meetings with new individuals I think are resources for our community and potentially for students. Tammy and I had a chance to meet with the new Johnstown Emergency Management. I don't know what the final part of her title is, but it was a good meeting talking about some tabletops and thinking about how we can think like a system community-wise. It was interesting to broach the subject of the electric buses. She had a different perspective on the electric buses than we did initially until we were able to talk through how that all will work for us. In both Roosevelt Middle and Roosevelt High School in the last week, they had brunches to celebrate the CTE staff, and food in both places was prepared by the students. We had a chance to spend time in both and celebrate those individuals that make those classrooms come to life, and the food was excellent. Like Liam talked about, the Future Chef is a highlight of the year every year, having, I think last week we had 7 or 8 future chefs. And as a picky eater, that competition thing is a little challenging for me. And the food last week was awesome. Even the stuff that looked scary to me was super awesome. So I think, and then at the end of it, it's really been neat to watch Liam have influence over our food services individuals. And he leveraged it last week in saying there's some of those items that we need to find in our menu. And they're great. I mean, they're great with Liam. They welcome the feedback. And so that was a neat partnership to watch the way the Sodexo family supports the future chef, but then also how they look at that, enhancing what they're doing for everybody in the district.
You know what they need to do is eaters competition. They have to make it so that everyone will like, you know, barring allergies, but you know, I think it'd be fun.
Had a couple meetings last week with the town of Johnstown, just continuing to pay attention to what's going on and how do we collaborate and move forward. Did participate in the wall signing and continue to be super excited about what they're doing with that space, how that space is going to kind of bring back, well, maybe not even bring back, adds opportunities in that community that haven't existed. But I also really appreciate the fact that they're going to have some of the old gym floor on the wall there. And they've done a lot of things over there to reuse things from the old building that I newbies like me may not know, but people that have been through that building are going to recognize that they have reused several things in different capacities. It's pretty neat to think about paying honor to our past. We had a great meeting here, and actually Ms. Van Zant doesn't know this yet, but she's spearheaded some unified conversations. We had a conversation with Chad here in the building around enhancing some of the unified opportunities yet this spring and continuing to look at how we grow our unified programs.
For sports.
For unified sports, yeah. And this spring, it's really going to be about Special Olympics, which we've done the last couple years. It's been local. It's been just ours. This year, Chad is going to bring in districts from all around us. Again, hosted here and have a big track meet to celebrate our students. But he's got a great vision for how do we continue to expand and look for ways to expand unified sports here, which I know for Hayden might be a year too late, but your influence, he'll say that your influence has been heard. So that's pretty neat. And you'll be able to come back and witness some of the legacy that you'll leave behind. So I just wanted to share that. I was going to talk a little about the Made Here Market, but Amanda beat me to the punch, and I'll leave it there for tonight.
Any questions for Superintendent Nielsen?
I just wanted to add something because Scott reminded me of something. We had a student, Abigail Johnson. She won Miss Amazing Colorado, which is a beauty pageant for special needs kids. And I just thought that it was really cool. Never been in the presence of a beauty pageant winner before, so. But she's definitely one of the most deserving people I could think of. So I wanted to shout her out on that.
Cool, thanks. Thanks.
I have a question for Scott.
Okay.
I don't know if it's more of a board or Scott question. I wanted to follow up on are we going to have a Johnstown presentation on the potential TIF? I know Scott and I had talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to challenge and push back a little bit. I've thought about it since our conversation in our one-on-one, and it's not my prerogative to upset an apple cart or a partner or anything like that, but I think it's more of an educational awareness. I think that there may be a whole 12 people who watch this. There might be 15, I'm not sure, but I feel like our community as a whole is a little, does not understand what is happening. And I think that we have a platform and an opportunity for an informational session on it. I do hear what you've said. I've thought about it, and I still think there's validity to having that here. But that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
That's it. I don't know. It's kind of a question of like, where do we go from here? Because we had talked as a board of having a presentation.
Yeah.
Then when I talked to Scott, he said it was more than likely going to not have a presentation. And so this is a kind of a superintendent question and another business question mixed together at the same token of where do we go from here? Because I felt like we had, as a board, had an idea, and I'm not sure where that's going right now.
And it's going.
Okay.
It's, you know, the wheels of.
Okay.
But yeah, no, thank you for bringing it up. But yeah. Any other questions? Okay, let's move on to our consent agenda. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval of the board by a single motion. Most of the items listed on the consent agenda have gone through board review and recommendation. Documentation concerning these items has been provided to all board members and the public in advance to assure an extensive review. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion by Director Proctor, a second by Vice President Sassano to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Ms. Duval, I'm not going to say a whole lot because I'll get super emotional, and I'll save that until we actually have your official retirement party. But thank you for your service, and thank you, because it sounds like we have the next generation on the way. Okay. Raise them right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All righty. We will move on to our first item of old business. This is the second reading of amendment to policy BEDBE. This is our agenda format change. Mr. Egan, have we had any public feedback? Okay.
Introduced it on February 4th. Yeah.
And so just as a reminder for everybody, what we're changing is at the end of our agenda right now, we have in our closing items, we have other items as deemed necessary by the board. This change of policy will allow us to, we're going to change that to future agenda requests. So board members can make agenda item requests at that time, and then we'll go through a, so I totally lost the word. A priority planning meeting to see how, when and where we can fit those into the agenda. So
Did we decide that same thing? We approve it tonight, next meeting we'll have this.
it'll go into the next agenda. It won't go on tonight's agenda, right. Next agenda. Yep. Any other questions on that? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
To adopt the amendments to policy BEDB-E as presented.
We have a motion by Vice President Sassano, second by Director Proctor to adopt amendments to policy BEDBE as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Egan, would you please pull the board?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. We'll move on to our first item of special business. This is our K-5 literacy. Speaking of literacy, can't say the word. K-5 literacy curriculum adoption. Superintendent Nielsen.
President Wales, board members, we have Karen Weiser here again tonight to answer any questions. We have prepared a motion for you. We'd love to approve the adoption this evening pending the grant funding from Weld Trust, which what we've heard to date is that it continues to move forward in their process, but we've not heard officially that we have it. So I think the motion is pending that, and if that doesn't happen, we will come back at a future date with another funding option if one exists. So with that, questions Karen can answer, if there are any.
I think we grilled Karen pretty hard last
I have a clarifying question because my brain doesn't remember. In the slides under the investment option where it has the total cost.
Yep.
And it's a 4-year contract, are those monies due pro rata over the 4 years or all up front?
That's a great question. Generally upfront, we will work with the benchmark company to potentially do a installment in 2 installments. But in order to get those multi-year discounts, it's on the closer to the front end. But we will partner with them. They're flexible in that. We will allow 2 payments.
Thank you. Yeah. And then because I can't remember either, what is the potential for the Weld Trust grant? How much would that cover?
We requested $350,000 to support some of the materials as well as professional development.
And then I have one more question. I'm going to turn to you because you're the financial person right here. If the Weld Trust grant doesn't come through, I have all intentions and faith that it will go through, but just as a plan B, is this amount, I know you're still working on budget for next year, but is it going to be okay in our budget?
I think there are some unknowns still, just like we talked about when we were together last time, where the state's going to land. I think we would be prudent if we're looking for a different source to get through an understanding of both ours and the state's budget before and that's the reason for the motion being pending that funding. And if not, we would actually come back and ask for permission from the board to use a different funding source at some point in the future. We have every faith that the money from the Weld Trust is coming forward also. But wanted to write it so that you knew that what you were, if in fact you were saying yes tonight, it was for those dollars to pay for it rather than open-ended, just based on the unknowns we have. Yep.
I think I've asked this before, but there's no date from the Weld Trust yet. They haven't told us we'll have a decision by X date.
So they haven't given a formal date, but what I do know as of today, it's currently an internal grant review process, which is their internal. And then after that, it will go to the board. So the internal review process is our big piece that we're waiting for, and they'll provide a new request for information or whatnot. Should it go through that as intended or as scheduled, I believe their next board meeting is towards the end of March. So again, they're not committing to a date because it's the process. But I would be hopeful that it goes through the internal process and then goes further.
Okay. And then I guess kind of along the same lines, if we don't get the grant funding and we don't know until the end of March, does that put us in a bind at all to not know until then?
I talked to Kim today about that.
Yeah, so we talked about, and I'm glad you asked that so that I can share kind of what I'm thinking. Pending tonight's vote and how you would like us to proceed. I am working with Benchmark and our implementation team on Monday to do strategic planning. We will proceed with strategic planning so that we have kind of like a timeline in place. So we will proceed with that. I also, as I shared at our presentation, have us scheduled or slated for professional development on April 27th. And so I would ask that we move forward with that plan so that we can secure quality trainers and start to plan that. And that's the unknown. That's a piece that's unknown. But that's that initial investment on professional development. Then I shared with Scott and Tammy earlier today, and I shared with the board last time we presented. I'd like us to start getting materials earlier, which would be having that investment in current fiscal year rather than fiscal year, which would be supported by the trust. So the longer decision makes, that might be pushed out a little, but I've got some, we need to be flexible with changing timelines and things like that. So right now I feel like we're still on an okay timeline to do what I presented to you on behalf of the team for moving forward with our current.
We always come at these things like we have these great new ideas that you guys haven't thought of. You've thought of everything. This is, you and the team have done a good job.
To support that, getting materials ahead of time, because materials over the summer or right before school, as I shared in our presentation, can be challenging. So if we can set teachers up for success and schools up for success before the end of the year, I think it will be good. and I think we're still okay right now, where we're at.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right. I'll motion to approve the adoption of the K-5 literacy curriculum as presented, contingent upon the receipt of grant funding from the Weld Trust. In the event the grant is not awarded, staff will return to the board with an alternative funding mechanism for consideration at a later date.
Second.
We have a motion by Director Proctor, second by Vice President Sassano, to approve the adoption of the K-5 literacy curriculum as presented, contingent upon grant funding from the Weld Trust. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Diagana, would you please? Well, actually, I apologize. Karen, thank you so much to your team and the work that you guys have put in on this. I know I've sat through a couple curriculum changes now, and I know the amount of work that goes into it, and we're very grateful for your guys' efforts in all of this. So
Thank you for your support.
much appreciated. Ms. Diagana, please move forward.
Yes.
Yes. All right, we'll move on to our next item of special business, and this is our electric school bus charger and infrastructure bid award.
Thanks, President Wales, board members. With us tonight is Josh Roseberry to talk a little bit about the infrastructure work that we went through a RFP process. And tonight we'd like for your approval to move forward with a specific vendor.
So some background, as you know, we did receive 3 grants for electric bus fleet with the infrastructure involved. So this RFP is particularly just targeting the infrastructure. With that said, the whole grant or everything that we've been sitting through, we're trying to get it to where there's no cost to district whatsoever out of the 3 grants. So I'll just kind of read it verbatim. I know a lot of stuff was in your packet. So if we have any questions at the end, we can go through all that. We did go out for RFP on BidNet platform on January 16th and 2025. A mandatory pre-proposal site meeting was held on the 27th, and 8 vendors were in attendance. I got to show them MES electrical rooms and area, and then also we took them out to the old bus barn where we were planning on putting charger stations up there. Proposals were due February 16th, 2026. And at their close, 4 proposals were received. 1 submission was deemed non-responsive due to non-bids. Through a narrative explanation was provided by that group. The bid results, we have Energy 5, Highland, Wind Marion, and iPower. Within your packet, you'll see that Wind Marion is the lowest bidder at a little over 1.1 million. And given the technical complexity of this RFP, in conjunction with Excel, they provided this group called WRI. They're the consulting firm to assist the district with grant management and RFP development. And we also got to evaluate the proposals using scoring criteria that were established by the district. 5 WRI group reviewers independently scored the submissions that were given to us. Following their evaluations and after additional review by district leadership, and that included the Director of Transportation, Superintendent, myself, we're presenting the Board of Education with recommendation to award the contract to Wind Marion. I will note, we're not asking to award in the amount of. Post-award negotiations still need to be necessary to align with the final infrastructure scope and cost that will be within the parameters of the actual grant. Right now, we're a little high. These discussions have already been coordinated with both the grantor Excel and WR Group to make sure when we engage with Wind Marion that we're meeting the project objectives still and meeting the funding requirements for the bus chargers. So with that, I'll take a question.
Can you remind me what was the total of the grant was 1.1 or all 3 grants?
All 3 grants.
Yeah, the total award when it's all said and done is going to be close to $3.6 million.
Okay.
The buses themselves are about 2.6, and then it'll be a little over when we get to what Josh talking. We'll get it. We have about 1,060,000 is what we have left that we can spend. So when Josh talks about getting in that we will get this proposal down under that $1,060, so there's no cost to the district at all.
Kind of ways we're gonna go about that. Within the RFP, we talked about warranties, extended warranties. We talked about length of time for some of the kind of like subscriptions, if you will. It was mandated that it was at least 2 years. We were asking for 5. And so we can maybe back that down to 3 or maybe back down to 2 to kind of get those cost savings whittled back down a little bit to where we need to be. Excel was confident that we could do it with that group, and so was RE.
The other thing that Excel encouraged us to do early was, if you recall in our conversations, we have chargers that are going to go at Roosevelt Middle School. And initially those were going to be lower end chargers or not bi-directional chargers. In the end, as Excel continued down this grant, what they wanted the schools to write for was chargers that could be eventually bi-directional. So we wouldn't have to put in new chargers to be bi-directional at RMS. The ones at MES already will be bi-directional. But in addition, they asked us to put in every charger that goes in at RMS will be one charger with 2 ports. So and initially in the bid you're looking at, there's 4 of them. So that means we could charge 8 buses. So the other option that's been thrown out is that we go back down to 3 there. So we would have enough to charge all 6 of our buses, even though the intent is that we have 2 that get charged in Milliken on a day-to-day basis at the chargers that are over there, but we'd have access both places. So that's the other option for us to bring costs down that we've talked about with the consultant at Excel. So just transparently.
I have another question. As I've thought about the electric buses and the grants, I still am a big supporter of it. I think that it was time well spent. I think this is great for our community. But then my brain always goes to like, what's after that? So when these buses need repair for whatever, I don't know, whatever thing happens with the bus, do we already have maintenance shops lined up that are certified to work on these electric buses, or is it an item where only the manufacturer can, or something bizarro like that?
JJ's already got it all lined up.
Okay.
They're Bluebird electric buses. We already have Bluebirds in the fleet
Right.
that are not electric. And so they're all the mechanics that are where JJ's taking currently. I can't remember, that's
Colorado West.
Yeah, thank you. Colorado West can work on the electric buses. And since they're Bluebirds, they're already familiar with it. So, and JJ's been in a lot of contact with what kind of electric buses, the range, and it sounds like Bluebirds really coming out ahead on range for these electric buses.
Okay.
And then I know there's a group, I don't remember where in the mountains, but JJ really speaks highly of them because they use theirs almost daily.
Steamboat, I think.
Yeah, and so, and they love them and they're raving about them. So,
They do
so
both.
JJ went ahead and made all those contacts to make sure that we can get them serviced.
The promise of the electric buses, again, I think for us, this is a pilot. We've talked some with board members and one-on-ones that this gives us a chance to pilot and find out, are there pros and cons? What we've heard from the other districts that JJ's talked to is they need less maintenance than a typical diesel gas bus. There's less things to maintain. We're going to find out with our own buses if that's true. But that's one of the beauties of getting that for free. I would also suggest, in some sense, the last 2 items are us looking for mechanisms to enhance our budget. And while $3.5 million in electric buses will not offset $3.5 million because the buses cost more, it will mean we don't have to purchase buses as a district for a number of years, which helps the budget for a number of years. So I think there's positives. In addition to, we're going to learn a lot about what do electric buses offer, pros and cons. Their life cycle is supposed to be just as long as the other buses. So you think of, 18, 17-year life cycle, something like that. We'll learn a lot in that time frame if that's really what they work out to be.
I guess just along those lines, JJ and our CFO worked pretty hard to have a plan of replacing buses every, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, whatever it was. And still a good plan, but now we've front loaded that with 6 new buses.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we need to keep some kind of regular, so we don't end up 10 years from now, we got to replace 10 buses, and how do we do that? So just for you and for JJ, I just want to make sure we keep that in, on the front burner. And then I know I've asked this and I just don't remember. 3 chargers in Milliken? Or two chargers in Milliken, and then how many at RMS?
Well, they wanted 4, but we might go back down to 3.
Okay.
You know?
Which actually will be chargers for 6, because each of the chargers,
The
they each have 2, so it's.
And where, so at RMS, I'm assuming that'll be where the buses are now, kind of behind the fence, sort of. Right?
Yeah, and down, they're actually down in the barn. The old
The old barn, okay. And then at MES, where will they be?
Back of the house by the dumpsters.
Okay.
Since that's the main electrical room, that's the closest we can get them, because these buses also in the state of emergency will back charge the school.
Right.
And charge, what we're asking them to do is charge the auditorium, or not the auditorium, the gymnasium as a shelter bus.
I was just wondering if we're gonna get requests from the public to want to charge their vehicles at those places. RMS is not super accessible.
JJ and I,
might be.
JJ and I talked with WI through that, and early on and I don't think there's really a way, because the way the buses plug in is completely different than your car.
Oh. Okay.
So it's not gonna match.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Especially with fire.
Okay.
And I'm curious too. I was thinking about that too. I'm wondering if that's not even going to be something that somebody from the community would want to do. I can see when you're out traveling and you're away from your home base, if you have an electrical vehicle at home,
Charge it at your house.
I would hope you'd charge it at home.
So I know, so my employer has 3 or 4 chargers that are semi-publicly accessible, and they're used by the public all the time, because it's easy.
Yep.
So if they're accessible, they figure out, but if they can't plug into them, they can't plug into them. That's a different situation. So
I remember at the conference, I don't think that's the same plug.
okay.
We'll ask JJ, but I know he's already thought about that, because he asked that group specifically that question, so.
Thank you, Josh. Is the barn heated, or are they outside? Because I don't like that. I mean, his electric car won't charge very well, even at all.
The barn is not.
Okay.
It's cold.
And the chargers are fine, or still fast in the cold.
Yeah, so JJ went through that with this group too. I wanted to see what the drop would be, not just on the bus itself, but the charge as well. And so the level of types of chargers that we're getting are pretty massive, more than what you would get at home. So these things are gonna have a lot of juice going to the bus.
Good.
And that was probably JJ's biggest concern when we started going down this road was range and cold. So the first group he reached out to was a district in Minnesota, northern Minnesota, and they love them. They lose a little range in the winter, but one of the things they told JJ was they had heard originally that heating on a cold bus is hard. So they put in a small generator with its own heater so they could supplement the heat, and they've never once had to use it because they actually get to turn the buses on while they're still plugged in, ready to roll, and the buses, they're heated ahead of time, and they've had no trouble keeping them heated as they run. So that's I think one of those things that maybe got out early, but that right now they love their buses. In fact, they're looking to get more in Minnesota. So it'll be fun for us to watch, but certainly we don't deal with anywhere near the cold of northern Minnesota.
Not this year, anyway.
This year. You had mentioned when you were speaking about getting the price down, something about subscriptions. Can you tell me more? What kind of subscriptions are you looking at right now?
I'm trying to remember. So it's
like
like software for the
It's like, I think it's ChargePoint is who they use, and it was about, I can't remember, it was $1,200 a year. But nominal, that wasn't gonna save us very much money, but there is something you have to be a part of ChargePoint for them to manage when the electricity comes in and out, or.
There is management entities that kind of oversee, and then also it's kind of what's reporting back to Excel on how we're doing. And that was the thing that was 2 years originally, but we asked for 5.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
It's not quite a subscription, kind of, but.
It's software for sure. Any other questions? All right. Well, we do have a suggested motion there. I would entertain a motion.
To approve the electric school bus charger and infrastructure project and to award the contract to Win Marion as presented.
We had a motion by Vice President Sassano, a second by Director Proctor to approve the electric school bus charger and infrastructure project and award the contract to Win Marion as presented. Ms. Diagano, well, any other questions, comments? Ms. Diagano, would you please pull the board?
Yes.
Yes.
Michael Witz.
Yes. All right, let's start talking trash. Talking trash.
All right, so the next one. A little background on this, just since I've been here, we haven't gone to RFP yet on trash. So it was well timed to go ahead and do this through the winter, trying to get this for a July 1st start point that's within our fiscal year. Make things a little cleaner. So we put a bid out through BidNet again, opening on the 27th of this year. I had a voluntary pre-proposal meeting this time, not mandatory. It was on the 11th at admin. And I had told the vendors that if you want to come meet with me, we can kind of review the sites via aerials. I can kind of tell you what I know, where our challenges are, and foreseeable issues for each site. One vendor was in attendance that day. Proposals were due on February 27th, and at the close, we had 6 proposals that were received. In your packet there's a lot in there as well. I apologize, but on the summary page, we have submitters were Waste Management, Fusion, RTS, EV Waste, Republic, and RAM. Following the evaluation and reference checks, the staff's recommendation is to award the contract to RAM Waste. They are the lowest bidder at $34,120 for the first year. And in calling the references, they actually do TRPR stuff, and TRPR does like RAM. And then I also asked RAM if they could provide me what their fee schedule looked like, because we do get some hefty fees from Waste Management off, which is kind of a big stick of mine that I'm not a fan of. So after review of those fees as well, I would still want to recommend to you guys to go with RAM Waste. I'm happy to answer questions.
One of the things I'd like to just add to this, I really appreciate Josh going through this process. We talked earlier about coming to the board because the contract, we're paying way more than $100,000 in our current year. And so we felt like when we went for this proposal, it would be above the $100,000 limit. And when you look at the bids, they are all over the place. This is maybe the wildest set of 6 bids I've seen. Josh believes that a couple of these companies looked at our budget from last year and looked at what we paid Waste Management and bid close to that amount. So you have just a huge disbursement. But we decided to bring this forward anyways because we do believe this is yet another example of us working hard to try to save the budget money. And this is going to end up being a $200,000 savings to the budget. And so, in some sense, kick yourself for not doing it sooner. And it's hard for me right now to think about what we're paying Waste Management currently and having a bid here for Waste Management that's like 20% or 25% of what we're currently paying them. It's illogical to me how they could do that. So Josh, you want to walk through, we initially put it out for a July 1st.
Yeah.
But Josh has thought through steps he's going to take, I think, if you accept tonight, starting tomorrow, I think you said.
Yeah, starting tomorrow morning. If it goes the way we think it would go tonight, you approve RAM Waste, I'll call RAM Waste and say I'd like you to start May 1st. And then I'm gonna send a letter of no more to Waste Management and say you need to have all your dumpsters picked up by May 1st. Give them a 60-day notice. And that talking with legal, that's well within our confines of the one current contract we have with them. And see how it goes from there. So trying to realize some cost savings this year, or trying to. So that's the hope.
We don't have We don't have a guaranteed out of all our contracts, so with waste management. The legal advice we got was, let's go the route Josh is talking about going. And then if we need to pursue more legal intervention, she's willing to do it. But the thinking is that we're a small enough contract for waste management that they're not gonna wanna put energy. So we'll find out in short order whether we can do it. But I appreciate Josh thinking about how do we reap the benefits of this kind of change sooner than July 1st. Even though May 1st only gives us 2 months, those difference in contracts, it's some substantial savings for 2 months. So, and then in next year's budget, it will be very substantial for that one line item, much different.
The one question I had, because we talked about, how, I mean, the fees they're brutal. Now that we have a little bit more control because we have custodial in-house, do you feel like that's something that we can get a little better control over?
I do.
Because that's really where it comes from, isn't it? Is how the receptacles are being used.
I did write within the RFP how they're finding us and they can need to stop. Because basically there's like an AI camera on waste management trucks that are cleaning things when they're getting them thrown into the truck. And the hard part is our district uses the same bags for trash and recycle, so it gets confused and it pings us on that. Another hard part is a lot of people like to overload the front dumpster but ignore the 3 empties to the right, which drives me nuts when I see that fee come by. And so, that's a little bit more training with not just custodial, but also like Synexo staff at the schools. Like, if you see it full, move to the next, just please. And then, in talking with Ram Waste, I wanted to see what their fee schedule was. It's considerably less. So for an overage charge for waste management, it's $220, and overage charge for Ram Waste is $20.
Oh wow!
So even if we were to stay status quo and no training with anybody, we'll still
be money ahead. Yeah,
it would take a long time to get to where we're at now. So.
Okay.
So I get a little nervous when we talk about, you don't want to build the space shuttle with the lowest barrier, right? So I get a little nervous when we talk about Ram Waste being so much less expensive. I know you said you've checked references and people are happy with their service. What kind of quality control do we have once we start the contract? I mean, I don't want bins not picked up. I don't want overflowing. I just want to make sure we're not trying to save money and doing the right thing and then get into a situation later where, oops, we should have stayed with waste management even though it cost us.
I agree. What is nice, Ram is located here in Johnston. And so a lot of times, they were also the one vendor that did come to the pre-proposal. So we talked about like what happens on Wednesday mornings when they show up at schools and the Cisco truck is unloading food in the kitchen. Usually it's blocking the dumpsters. Back of house is the same. And so currently waste management will come the next day and not charge us. I didn't want them to do that, and they said they wouldn't. And so that's nice to have them local. Their parent company is Waste Connections. So if they ever need backup, if their truck goes down or anything like that, Waste Connections is their backup, because that is their mom and pop company, basically, which already is in the town of Milliken within the town of Johnstown. So there was that backup as well that I felt comfortable with them. After talking to him a lot on the phone for just trying to figure out, did something go wrong in your math, or my RP, like how are you interpreting this? Because that cost is so different. I still do feel comfortable with RAM, especially after talking to Clint. They've never had an issue with RAM services picking up at all the TRP sites. So,
do you know that they have other clients that are roughly similar sizes?
They were supposed to submit that with RP, and they did. Okay. So I got to contact those folks as well.
And their experience is similar. Okay. That makes me feel a lot better.
So and that was kind of the big thing for everybody.
Josh, talk a little bit about size, because
yes,
the frequency and the size of dumpsters was also part of the RFP that was different.
It was. So I did want 8 yards at every school. Right now we're currently sitting at 6 yarders. 8 would increase capacity, obviously, allow a little bit more trash to go in. On some schools, frequency can kind of lessen at 8, but some need to increase, like PRE, for example, and also here. And so, with that said, every bidder was able to do the 8-yard dumpster, which was great. And then another big key thing that I used to score against them, which I told them I would, is you can't come dump before 7 a.m. The amount of complaints that we get from them coming here at like 5 in the morning to dump, I'm tired of hearing from that neighborhood to the north. I'm tired of hearing the MIS neighbors. Because it's like, please stop coming before 6 a.m. and dumping our trash. These schools are neighborhoods. So thankfully, within the RFP, you know, can you manage 8 yards? Yes. Can you manage us if you miss a day? Yes. Can you come back for free if you miss a day? Yes. We also put a cap on their year-to-year, and we also put language in where we can get out of the contract early if we need to, with giving them time to fix it if there's a problem. It is a 3-year contract with 2 additional options on top of that. So they have that guaranteed 3, and then we could either go after RP then if we really don't like it, or we still get additional 2 on top of that. So trying to write in as much as we can where we can jump if we need to. And then hopefully take care of some of these extra things, like the start times, the yards, and do they have experience with K-12. So.
I was just gonna say, I'm really excited to save some money on something that seems to be on the surface.
I was quite shocked.
I was shocked. Yeah. I mean, I was shocked too, and I was at home looking at these. I thought it was amazing, so I appreciate that, because I think trash is one of those things that is easy to overlook, because you're like, all haulers have got to be the same, because they're all hauling to the same dump site. Yeah. So why would a hauler cost different? Right. But I think part of it is probably the local yard versus being dispatched out of North Fort Collins. But I appreciate you looking at something that is very overlooked.
I think we've had waste managers so long. My best guess to Scott was we've had them for so long, and I think we're so far out of the original scope of the contract, whenever that was done back in the day, is why the prices basically exploded. Yeah. Rather than the 2 actual contracts we have currently with them, which is for this school and so since those were brand new.
So our current contract only covers, I think you told me this, now that I think about it, this school and well, correct?
Yeah.
Well, we can get out of the rest of them then.
That's what we've been talking with legal with about, is how,
should be on
how we go about
yeah.
that.
Okay.
Tactfully, so.
That's exciting. I don't have any other questions.
No, I just wish you didn't spend this much time dealing with trash.
I don't know. I think it was time well spent.
Well,
So
I agree. It was time well spent. And I did appreciate the ones that are coming.
Yeah.
That's, I know I made it voluntary, but I was interested in who would actually show up. So.
It should have been like an extra point on the scoring sheet.
Yeah. I thought about it, but I didn't put that one down. But.
All right, I'm going to motion to approve the solid waste and collection services contract and to award the contract to Ram Waste as presented.
Second.
Motion by Director Proctor, a second by Vice President Sassano to approve the solid waste and collection services contract and award it to Ram Waste as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Diagana?
Yes.
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 Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, we have one item in special business. This is the scheduling of our on-site board retreat. You want to take that?
We're just asking you to approve having a board retreat on site, April 8th. It starts at 6 o'clock.
I'm going to ask a dumb question, but sometimes board retreats have queso, right? Cake and queso. Not at the same time.
Why not? Have you tried it?
gonna ask her, are we having a facilitator? And I don't mean like a paid facilitator, I just don't know if you were facilitating it or if it was gonna be led by someone else.
Like it was last time.
Don't remember the last time, I'm not gonna lie.
Did we just have
Life is a blur. Huh?
Did we just have a lawyer?
That was an executive session. Oh, no, you're talking about the training?
That was a training.
That was a.
Yeah.
This is a little more
That was a board training.
open-ended.
I think we could certainly look into a facilitator. We have not gone down that road.
I don't know if it's necessary, but I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't,
I just don't want it to be weird with like you being the point person, I guess, and it being.
I've had the same thoughts, and I think if we did, I would say we talk to Randy.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a
Randy
good
Zealand,
one.
have him come in and do it. Because sometimes it is nice to help.
Have some like neutral party
Right.
kind of guiding us along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
We can certainly see Randy on Friday, so if you want us to proceed that way, Randy's helps us with negotiations, and we have our first session Friday, so
You have negotiations ready?
Yep.
Okay.
this Friday.
That's the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's nice just to have somebody to keep you on track.
Well, yeah, and I just think then, Scott can really fit in like a staff, like I'm assuming you're presenting some things and then some side you're gonna be prioritizing, so I think it allows you to flip switches a little bit
Yeah.
easier if somebody else
There's
is
no-
leading.
Yeah, no question.
All right,
I'm gonna move that the Weld RE-5J Board of Education schedule an on-site board retreat on April 8th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the District Administration Building. I'm not gonna give the address, we all know where it is. For the purpose of discussing the board's priorities and reviewing the budget.
I have a motion by Vice President Sassano, second by Director Proctor, to schedule the on-site board retreat for April 8th at 6 p.m. at the district admin building. Any further discussion on the motion?
Needs to be case in there.
Yeah, that's a, we have direction.
Correct. Spoken it into being.
Ms. Diagana?
Yes.
Yes. Do we have any citizen comments on? No, we don't. Okay. We do need to go into an executive session. We do have a prepared motion there. One of you wants to.
got it.
Keep it faster. All right, I will move that the board move into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 246402-4E for the purpose of discussing and determining positions concerning matters may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators specifically with respect to the charter school contract with Civica Colorado. Like, don't leave me hanging.
Sorry, I'm sorry, like I was like reading and thinking, I'm sorry, second.
We have a motion by Vice President Sassano, second by Director Proctor to enter into executive session for the aforementioned purpose. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Diagana?
Yes.
Yes. So we'll go ahead and recess. We will, after the executive session, we will come back to the regular meeting, but we don't have any other items left on our agenda, so we will adjourn out of that regular meeting, where we will start, since we're on this location, we're going to stop the live stream. We will have a recorded copy, though, of the adjournment of the regular meeting. So at this time, we'll head to recess.